for the crypto market. We had a massive Bitcoin pump last night. When I was going to bed, the price was skyrocketing all the way from 27.3 to a high of 28.5. But just hours later, the market completely reversed. And what we saw was the price come all the way back down in a single candle before it recovered again. So what actually happened last night? Well, there was a big mix-up in the market where people thought that Mt. Gox and the US government were dumping their coins. But in my opinion, the story goes even deeper, and it could spell the fate of the markets for the next few weeks. So it's going to be a huge show. Ran is going to join us. That's why he is on the tile. He's in Miami. So he will be joining at some point, hopefully soon during the show, to give his opinion as well. But before then, I will run you through the events of the last night and exactly what happened. So why did the market pump in the very first place? Well, the first thing that happened was we had some earnings that came out quite strong. Microsoft earnings actually beat expectations, resulting in an 8% pump in the Microsoft share price. And that led to a nice move on the NASDAQ, which is essentially the market that tracks all the tech stocks. And this resulted in a 1% pump. Now, pre-market, we're actually seeing the markets up 1.7%. When the market actually went open, we saw a slight decline intraday, but largely the NASDAQ did have a pretty nice recovery on that day, and that resulted in Bitcoin performing quite strongly as well. As we know, Bitcoin and the stock market are relatively correlated. But there was also kind of multiple factors behind why the market pumped as well. One of those major factors being the banking collapse. We had First Republic Bank shares actually drop 50% in a day as fears of banking contagion started to spread again. We know that last time there was banking fears, Bitcoin actually ran 50% to the upside all the way to 31.5K. So if we kind of map that last move where the banking collapse resulted in people flocking to Bitcoin as a form of hard money or a digital gold, flee to safety, then that would see us go now another 50% upward to the 42K mark. Of course, the thing with Bitcoin is, though, it's still sitting in the midst of major resistance at the 32K level. And until Bitcoin breaks 32K, I'm not going to get too excited about 42. But that is the reason why Bitcoin did also turn around last night and pump very, very strongly. It's, in my opinion, a combination of a few things, but mainly the NASDAQ performing well and Microsoft beating earnings. And then also the fact that you have this banking collapse taking place and a lot of people are speculating on Bitcoin as a form of digital gold. Not so much inherently bullish for alts, more inherently bullish for the Bitcoin price. And that's actually why we've seen Bitcoin dominance decrease and pump back into major resistance. But nonetheless, obviously a strong Bitcoin leads to strong altcoins, right? So if we do want to try and pick longs on alts, you do need a strong Bitcoin market. So that's what happened when I went to bed. But since I went to bed, a whole lot of other stuff went down. I actually woke up in the morning to this tweet, literally 5 minutes after I woke up. I woke up around 6 a.m. I saw this tweet by DB, and you know, DB is one of the biggest news reporters on Twitter. He said, Mt. Gox and US government wallets are making transactions. Now, what this indicated was that Mt. Gox, we know they owe creditors 142,000 Bitcoin in the US government, who also have 42,000 Silk Road Bitcoin that they're looking to offload throughout this year. This indicates that they were starting to move those coins. And if they're moving those coins, that means obviously they want to sell those coins. And that is a huge supply overhang on the market. Cumulatively, it's over 180,000 Bitcoin. And that has a huge effect on the market. And that's why the market started to reverse quite significantly. And we did see this pullback after a really strong move back into resistance. We saw another rejection for Bitcoin. And that's largely off the back of quite a lot of panic. Now, what we saw was open interest tank. We saw open interest on Bitcoin and crypto in general drop 11% over a 4-hourly period since this tweet. And in the last 24 hours, we've seen open interest drop 7% to 5%. That's a result of a lot of people getting liquidated. So if we look at Bitcoin liquidations, we can see that $277 million were liquidated over the last 12 hours and $84 million were liquidated over the last 4 hours. That is a crazy amount of liquidations. I mean, obviously we've seen more previously, but the fact that it came out of nowhere and suddenly you have $200 million liquidated, that was a big shock for the market. Now, open interest levels as well are back down to the March lows. So a lot of positions got closed, forced closures through people setting their stop losses, take profits, because the market wicked violently either way. And typically what happens when the market wicks violently either way, like this big candle you see here, a lot of people get stopped out either side, because anyone that was a late long ends up getting crushed when the market reverses, and anyone that's a late short ends up getting crushed when the market flicks the other way. So in terms of a trading environment, this was very difficult to time, and that is why we've seen a lot of positions close, and that's why also subsequently we did see a lot of liquidations as well. So that was the news. Now, the real question now for investors is, are they actually selling? Are the US government and Mt. Gox actually starting to sell their Bitcoin? Well, if we look a little bit deeper into this, and you don't have to look too deep, you'll notice that it was actually just a mistake. So this was the biggest shock of the day, that the alert from DB and subsequently all the other accounts that were retweeting it, the news accounts like 𝗕𝗏𝗃, they actually were wrong, because they had a false alert from Arkham Intelligence, which is an intelligence dashboard, which sent out a false alert. So the entire market dump was artificial. The entire market dump was based on a mistake and based on max panic. Because we can see that the trustee balance of Mt. Gox didn't actually change at all. We didn't see any coins moving. Also, the US government's wallets, digging a little deeper onto Arkham, none of those coins moved either. So once the market realized that, DB did a tweet. He said, on Arkham, they fixed a bug that deployed that caused alerts to be sent erroneously to a small subset of users. Now, DB said that he had to wait to get clarification from Arkham and didn't want to point the finger at them quickly, incorrectly, because he believes they will make a statement soon. And he said that he'll use multiple on-chain providers going forward. And that's exactly what happened. Arkham came out and made this tweet. They said, "We've conducted an investigation on the DB alert situation and determined that the Arkham alerts were sent accurately in this case. DB set 2 alerts on all Bitcoin transactions above $10,000 with no counterparty set, then named the alerts Mt. Gox and US Gov. When we fixed a bug causing us not to send alerts to configure like this, he then correctly received many alerts based on his parameters." Notice this word, correctly. "No one received inaccurate alerts. They simply began receiving the alerts they had previously set." So they essentially fixed a bug. But that also triggered, because it changed the configurations, that triggered old alerts, which were correct. That meant that DB automatically tweeted, because DB automatically tweets because his account is linked to Arkham. This is how an account like DB is first to the news. This is how accounts like 𝗕𝗏𝗃 are first to the news. They use APIs and they plug them into an application like Arkham to get market data, hoping to be first. But sometimes when we see configs change, then it can actually set off false tweets. And it's pretty crazy that just Twitter and just market sentiment on social media can actually result in such, a large shift in the market. So they said neither the alert nor the tweet could have caused the sharp Bitcoin price to drop today, as the drop occurred earlier. The alerts were sent afterwards. This is true and it's false. If we go back to the charts, we can see that they're right. The major drop started to happen beforehand. You can probably put that down to just, shorts starting to pile up, a bit of sell pressure, some people taking profits. But then what we did see is the market speed up in its acceleration to the downside. So this candle started before the alerts were sent, and then this candle, this lower candle on the next hour, this wick down, was a capitulation candle when that news broke. So it's a little bit of a mix of both. We know that because if we go onto the 30-minute chart here, we can see that this wick happened at 6:06, like basically exactly when DB made his tweet. So you can see that on the charts. But the market did actually dump. At least the first half of the dump happened before that tweet. And that is largely people selling, obviously, as we head into resistance, and then liquidations starting to pile up. We can see liquidations were actually quite high. Why is that? Well, when the market started to rally off the back of the NASDAQ, a lot of longs started to pile up. And that resulted in a lot of liquidations. So basically, all in all, it was a very strange day in crypto. You had Bitcoin pumping on strong earnings and banking contagion fears. Then you had Arkham issues indicating that the US government and Mt. Gox were selling. Then you had Bitcoin dumping with a $200 million liquidation in just a 4-hour period. And then at the end of the day, the alerts turned out to be false after all that happened. But what does this actually mean for crypto? Because if the market reacted that negatively to Mt. Gox, the day that the market actually notices that Mt. Gox or the US government is selling, won't that mean that's when we see the real capitulation candle? Well, maybe. I view today as a false alarm. So at some point in the near future, the US government and the Mt. Gox Bitcoin is going to move. This is just inevitable. Now, in a second, we're going to look through the actual schedule that they have to release these coins into the market. But we do know that there's a huge supply overhang. We know that there's 180,000 Bitcoin set to be released at some point this year. And at some point this year, we are going to see red candles because of this. And it might not be later this year. It could be a lot sooner. I'll show you the timeline in just a second now. So when that happens, you do have to be prepared. Now, long term, I don't view Mt. Gox as a huge bearish headwind. I actually view it as bullish long term, because when you have a supply overhang and you remove that supply overhang, the market tends to price in, at least to some extent, the overhang ahead of time. Once you remove it, the market rebounds positively because the negative news is repriced out of the market. That's exactly what we saw with ETH Shanghai. We saw the market expecting a huge Shanghai dump, and then we ended up not getting a huge Shanghai dump because a lot of that selling happened before Shanghai. And then when we realized that the dump wasn't so big, then it started to recover. So Mt. Gox long term, I don't think it's a huge headwind, but you can't argue that short term, at least around the period where we get the dump, or around the period when we start to see the US government and the Mt. Gox Bitcoin moving, we are going to see a little bit of downside, in my opinion. That's going to result in some nasty candles. We got a taste of it. We saw a very strong wick to the downside following this news, and it's likely that we are going to see another strong or many strong wicks to the downside when the news ends up breaking at some point in the near future. So what are the dates you need to be aware of? What are the rough timeframes that you can use to be prepared for when this supply dump actually comes to the market? Well, Mt. Gox actually just moved its creditor deadline to April 6th. So the creditors of the Mt. Gox exchange now had an extra month, and obviously that is now closed as it's April 27th, to apply for repayments after the company's trustee obtained court approval to extend the registration period for another month. The trustee cited various circumstances, such as the progress by rehabilitation creditors in respect of the selection and registration. So at that time, back when they announced the repayments, the deadline was slated for January 2023. They pushed that back 3 months to April 6th. And in addition to postponing the deadline to April 6th, the company shifted its repayment deadline to another month. Mt. Gox had previously, this is very important, fixed the repayment deadline. So this is when they essentially give their Bitcoin back to creditors, and then they can choose to hold or sell, for September 30, 2023. But the date has now been pushed further to October 20, 2023. This means that the payments don't actually need to happen till October. What I think is likely is that we see staggered payments in the lead up to this date. But what has happened historically with Mt. Gox is they've delayed it and delayed it and delayed it. This has been an ongoing process for years now. Last year, we talked about Mt. Gox supply that was set to hit the market in like May. Then they delayed it again to September. Now they're delaying it again to October. I would not be surprised if this gets pushed back into 2024. That doesn't mean all the repayments happen in 2024 or late 2023. If it does happen in October, it could mean that the repayments happen slightly earlier, and then we see it being pushed further along. But what we do know is that at some point towards the middle or the end of this year, we're going to see Mt. Gox Bitcoin start to hit the market. Could it happen a bit earlier? Yes. Unfortunately, there's no exact timeline. The best guess we have right now is Q3 to Q4, but at some point, this is going to hit the market. And 𝗕𝗆𝗃 said that Mt. Gox has lost their private keys. Maybe, because they keep delaying. And look, if you're a creditor, you'd actually be feeling maybe a little bit annoyed because you've been waiting for this Bitcoin for years. A lot of creditors, actually, they did a vote, choosing not to sell. There was like a poll on Reddit amongst creditors of Bitcoin, and they were asked what percentage are actually going to sell. More than 30% said they were just going to hold their Bitcoin. There's like this psychological theory behind why they would hold their Bitcoin. And that's, they've held these assets for years and years and years. And they've seen the potential of Bitcoin. They're likely believers in Bitcoin because they bought Bitcoin early, and they've seen the performance of Bitcoin. They've also seen us hit highs, and we've psychologically seen us pull back in price, and like also not just psychologically, but we have seen a pullback in price. So that kind of doesn't make it as compelling to sell than if we're at all-time highs. And they've seen the performance, and a lot of them are thinking like, yeah, why can't this happen again? Why would I sell at 26K when I could sell at 60K? I've seen what Bitcoin can do. I'll see what it can do again. So a lot of them are actually going to hold. But there will be a percentage that sell, and that's why I still think it is a supply event, and I'm not discounting any potential impact on the market. Then again, I don't necessarily believe it's some huge bearish event that you need to sell your crypto because of. It's just going to mean be prepared for volatility around that event. This is the Mt. Gox Bitcoin. Then you have the second part of this whole equation, and that's the US government Bitcoin. So they have a little bit less than Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox has 142,000 Bitcoin. As you can see here, the US government has 41,000 Bitcoin. The reason they have 41,000 Bitcoin is because they seized illegal Silk Road Bitcoin from the Silk Road back when it was used to trade drugs illegally. From the founder of obviously of Silk Road had a lot of Bitcoin. They seized it, and they have 41,000 that they're getting rid of. The US actually has made a stated effort to get rid of this Bitcoin, and they've already sold 9,800 of this on March 14th. So they already sold some earlier this year. Let's actually check what happened to the Bitcoin price on March 14th. I'm very interested when they first sold their first 10,000 Bitcoin. In the scheme of things, I mean, it is quite a bit for a day, but I don't think it's a huge big deal. So let's go back to March. I'm on the hourly candle. Let me go back to the daily candle. March. The daily candle. That's also the name of our newsletter. Hope you're listening to the newsletters. 14th of March. I'm being really stupid. You know what's funny? This is weird. This is actually really weird. So we had the market pump, right? Then we saw a dump on the 14th. I don't know if so we saw this huge candle to the upside. I don't know if the dump back down was because of the forced selling. It may have been, but the market absorbed that sell pressure. So straight afterwards, the market went and started to create a new range to the upside. So you maybe could make the argument that, and it's impossible to know exactly at what time during the day they sold, but you could make the argument, okay, they caused the market to go down 8%, but there was so much buying volume that the market didn't end up really caring at all about that. So it's super interesting, actually, that the market ended up just not really caring about it. Of course, it's 9,000, but it's still a quarter of the sales. So if we go into the US government, and look at the schedule that they have, they want to sell the remaining 40,000 Bitcoin in 4 tranches across the year. So the amount of Bitcoin going onto the market will probably be batches of, let's say, 10,000, right? Very similar to the previous batch on March 14th that we just went over. So if we do see 4 events like this, a very rough conclusion we can come to is, okay, maybe on those days the market drops 7%, 5%. If we want to take that data, it's very rough. It's just an estimate. But if the overall trend's bullish, then the market has plenty of buyers to absorb that sell pressure. If we go into CoinGecko, you'll see that the daily Bitcoin volume is 31 billion. Now, a lot of this is wash trading, and a lot of this is just, general trading, speculation, general volume. A lot of it's leverage. So it's not like there's $31 billion worth of Bitcoin hitting or the market or being bought every single day. But, in the scheme of things, 31 billion a day. And, if you have 200 million come onto the market during a day, it's not going to have the hugest impact. Yes, it might have a 1 or 2 or even 5% impact, but it's unlikely to cause like a 30% correction in a day or any significant correction that the market can't handle. The only reason it would cause a huge correction is based on the market conditions, right? Because the market conditions are bearish. If we go back to like this whole FTX situation, right? There were probably events when people were selling, 1,000 Bitcoin and it was hurting the price more than 1%, which is much less than the US government, just because the general market was in a sell-off. And when the market's selling off and sentiment is bearish, there's not enough buy side demand. There's not enough buy volume to underpin or like save the price. So you see order books like shift to the downside because like orders keep reconfiguring. So there is a situation where if the US government or Mt. Gox Bitcoin gets sold in a bearish environment, that can hurt the market more than what we saw the other day when they sold, which was a bullish environment. Because in a bullish environment, there's always more demand. Like you could basically dump 50,000 Bitcoin on the market and it would get eaten up. There's always more demand in a bullish market. But I think what happened this time was it was a bullish market, so the market responded well. So you have to keep in mind when these Bitcoins start hitting the market, what the exact state of the market is. Are we in a bull trend? Are we in a bear trend? We see this with unlocks in crypto as well. Altcoins, right? With huge unlock schedules, they tend to bleed when they unlock tokens into a bear market. They tend to not really have an impact on the market, the unlocks that is, if it's a bull market. So even DYDX, if they unlock and they have huge unlocks, if they unlock in a bull market, doesn't really matter. The market just buys it up. Short, little dip, resume trend. If they unlock in a bear market, well, that's a combination you don't want to have. Sellers, then that creates forced sellers through liquidations. And then you also have unlocks, which incentivize people to sell. And it kind of just compounds, right? So it really depends on the trend, the impact, like what the short-term impact on the market will be. But just keep in mind that I don't think long-term it should be anything to panic about. But it is a supply overhang. for Bitcoin. Maybe Ethereum holds up better than Bitcoin during these periods. So Bitcoin DOM increasing really strongly. My theory is that although this could definitely push higher, when these Bitcoins start being sold or when this narrative starts to pick up, we actually will see a shift back into Ethereum. Ethereum had a supply overhang. That's done. That was Shanghai. I'd say Ethereum's biggest psychological overhang right now is regulation due to the conflicting opinions of whether it's a commodity or a security. But it also has its new EIP Cancun upgrade later in the year, which should be a strong catalyst. So alts that follow obviously Ethereum are going to rely strongly on ETH price action, and we may see a shift at that point. Dominance could still definitely go higher now, although we are into resistance. If you were trying to take a late play on a rejection here, like we've seen in previous times, then now would be the time to shift into altcoins, or at least, over the next few days. But just be aware that it may not respect the trend, and this actually may be a more consistent long-term trend, which would result in a pump, in dominance, a pullback, and then resumption. That's kind of what I'm expecting if Bitcoin goes to the upside. Of course, so this is a critical point. If we get rejected here, bearish retest, we come back down. The key here is not breaking this previous wick, which is 48.9. That's your last level. If you break that, dominance goes into price discovery. Someone says we're pumping right now. Yeah, the market is reacting super, super strongly. So it's actually not really worrying at all about the false alarm, and that's exactly why, because it's a false alarm. It wasn't a real alarm. It was just a narrative, and then the market can now resume to the upside. So if we go to the Bitcoin chart and have a look at exactly what's happening and chart some levels here, we can see that we actually bounced off my blue box perfectly, not personally, my personal blue box perfectly. You guys will know if you've been watching the shows that, I was expecting a little bit of a bounce here. And I said, look, if you are if you want to take a scalp long, now would be a good time to do so. You also know that I said if we do break below, there's a chance of going back down to range highs. That can still happen if we get rejected in this zone here. This has obviously become a pretty significant resistance, especially around the 29.8 zone. If we push up, this is not a huge resistance, this line. This is the major resistance. If we push up here, then likelihood we get rejected. We're kind of forming a bit of a new range though, because what we're seeing now is this new range being set slightly above this level, probably because there's a lot of orders set at 26.5. Buyers are happy to jump in at 27, and we're almost seeing this start to form as a little bit of a range. So you've got kind of invalidation on either side. That's kind of how I'm playing it at the moment. Also the bigger move comes out on the break of either side. So that's kind of how I'm playing it. Took some small scalp longs here, as you guys know on the show from a couple days ago, but was also, preparing, not going all in because I'm prepared to, flip short if the market does something like this, breaks down, then, my new target's 24.3. So that's what I'm seeing on Bitcoin at the moment. We're going to get into some more charts later in the show, at the end of the show. Hopefully Ryan could join us for that. I'm actually going to see, just getting my phone, I'm actually going to see if he is coming. If he's coming, then we can have a discussion. He said nothing, so he's not replying. I don't know what's going on. I think he was on Spaces earlier. Let's see if he's still on Spaces. No, he's not. So I don't know. Maybe he's coming, maybe he's not, but it doesn't matter too much. We'll go into altcoin stuff now, and if he wants to join and we can revisit the Mt. Gox discussion, we can. So I just want to remind you quickly before we get into alts, there's a few big topics that I want to discuss over on that side. I want to remind you about this trading comp. Very important because it actually does start today. So the trading competition starts today. So this is actually pretty exciting for all of us, because the prizes are huge. So we got and obviously we can't win the prizes, but I'm excited to take part in it and try my trading luck against Sheldon, Kyle, Ran, and also Gareth, who's also competing. The first prize is actually a Tesla, which is insane. Second prize is a Rolex. Third prize is $10,000. So if you aren't participating, you can actually start trading right now. So you can see we already have a leader, Reptilian, at 172%. You're still pretty early. It literally just started. It just started today, 10 hours ago. So I haven't actually made my first trade yet because I was asleep, and I like to set my orders during the day. I will share my trades live on the show with you, and we'll do some trades together. Look, I'm not an expert trader. I also don't claim to be. I just kind of go off gut feel. I'm much better with altcoins and altcoin narratives, so that's probably where I'll go. When I see an altcoin trend, I will probably try and trade it. You'll notice you'll get to know my trading style in terms of leverage a bit more as we go. I like to also use lower leverage at times. So yeah, I'm going to load up my account today and get started. But I don't have a trade to share with you right now because this craziness this morning was enough of a reason for me to want to see where the market settles. But we are starting to get some direction now. and I'm pretty close to opening my next trade, or my first trade in the comp. So if you aren't registered, this is how you register to potentially win a Tesla, a Rolex, or $10,000. Someone said, can US people join in the competition? I don't think so legally. Obviously, there are ways to participate. I'm not going to tell you to use one of those methods, but if you're smart, you could probably work out a very easy way that you can participate in the comp if you're in the US. But yeah, I don't want to get myself in trouble by recommending something that you shouldn't do. But yeah, if you want to enter the competition, what you can do is, but I'm pretty sure you need to KYC now on ByBit, so maybe not. But check it out. Check it out either way. See if you can register. And the way to test that out, obviously, is through the description. So we have the link to the comp. All you need to do is click the link. Someone said, go Nord. No, you'd never do that. You'd never use a VPN. You'd never, ever use a VPN. No, I didn't say Nord. That's not what I said. That's what a commenter said. And it just came up on the screen. I did not say that. I did not say that. So if you do want to join the comp, there's a link in the description. Click it, and then it's really simple as clicking register. Once you click register, it'll prompt you to sign in with your account. If you don't have an account, you can create an account. You need to create one through the link to qualify, or you can use Gareth's links or Rand's links. As long as you're with a Banter host, that's how you qualify for a prize. And if you don't have a link, though, there's a link below that, which is my referral link. If you use that, you can also get up to a $30,000 sign-up bonus, and then simply log in through the competition dashboard using the link in the description. Good luck. We're going to be talking about this a lot over the next few weeks, so I won't bang on about it too much now because it's going to be a huge competition, a fun competition. Okay, KYC is next month, so you're actually okay for the trading comp if you want to do it and you don't want a KYC. So you're actually okay for now. I wonder when it is next month, but at least for now, I think you're okay. So yeah, so that's in the description. All right, let's get on to the rest of the show. I've got a bit of altcoin news to discuss. Rand told me he was coming. He hasn't come. That's sad for you guys because he's on the tile. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe if he wants to join for the end, I'll keep it going and we'll do a Q&A, and maybe we'll ask Rand some questions at the end and see what he's interested in talking about. Hopefully he comes. If not, I do have some big stuff still. Okay, so on the altcoins, if we do look at the week, actually it's probably good to go a bit macro before we get into like macro alts, like large caps, before we get into like the really small cap stuff. I think the really important thing right now is to look at ETH. ETH is the market leader of altcoins. So this blue line here is Shanghai. So we did see a very strong pump post Shanghai. We saw a little bit of a sell-off. I assume this is investors de-risking in the event that Shanghai supply overhang affected price. What we actually saw was the complete opposite. We've actually seen, I'll try and get the link up here. Where is the link? Yeah, we've actually seen ETH, the amount of ETH staked, the ETH staking ratio significantly increase post Shanghai. Now, this is a trend that I tweeted about a month ago. And I said, look, I expect, or maybe a couple of weeks ago, I said I expect the ETH staking ratio to significantly increase post-Shanghai. I stick by this thesis. So I stick by the thesis. I also said it here, that the ETH staking ratio will increase, and Shanghai actually only ended up as a bullish event for Ethereum staking, which is funny because people thought people were going to unstake and dump, but actually having the ability to redeem ETH through the beacon chain meant that investors were a lot more comfortable staking. So now you've got new market participants that didn't want to stake. Even myself, I didn't really want to stake, and now I'm considering staking through Rocket Pool. So even myself, right, psychologically, I want to stake more now because I actually can stake. So this actually resulted in a bullish event for Ethereum and not a bearish event for Ethereum. And there are counterparties to that, which I think are huge beneficiaries. And I'll talk a little bit about that now. One of them is Rocket Pool. So if we actually look, so this is very important. If you look at the major beneficiaries of the amount of ETH staked, you can actually see that in the liquid staking market, Rocket Pool and Frax have been the two biggest gainers. Now, lo and behold, Rocket Pool and Frax are also the two tokens. I think I've been speaking about them for months, months and months and months, Rocket Pool. If you watch my normal show, you'll know I've been accumulating Rocket Pool. We actually have seen inflows into Rocket Pool greater than Lido. why has liquid staking flow been stronger into Rocket Pool than Lido? Lido's still been strong. 6% is nothing to snuff at. But Rocket Pool actually up on the daily, barely down on the weekly, even in the midst of a sell-off, and up on the monthly, is largely down to the fact it's more composable. You have more flexibility over where you choose to direct emissions. So let's say you want to stake in a pool with your friends. What you can do through Rocket Pool is you can all set up a validator together and choose where to direct emissions. And you can also have spin up your own validator with a relatively low cost and low validator size. And why it's good is because from a tokenomics perspective for the RPL token is because you need the RPL token to stake. So there's a flywheel, and I'm going to show you how this works. You actually need 10% of the ETH value in Rocket Pool collateral. So every time you stake ETH, you need to put up Rocket Pool, which obviously locks up Rocket Pool, reduces the circulating supply of Rocket Pool, which, by the way, is already a token that doesn't have a max supply. Doesn't have any dilution to come. It's already maxed out on the market, 1 billion tokens. Is it 1 billion or is it 1 million? Definitely got a 1 in front of it. Just want to make sure I get this right. It's 20 million. Okay, I was off on that for some reason. But luckily I checked. So circulating supply is 20 million. Total supply of Rocket Pool's 20 million. So it's like they aren't diluting. So any amount of Rocket Pool that's staked is reducing the amount of circulating supply. So the tokenomics are better. And that's why Rocket Pool's been a better performer of Lido since Shanghai, because the tokenomics are just more advantageous for the protocol. And that's why it's probably going to perform better in price than Lido over the next 12 months. And that's why, personally, I've started investing heavier in Rocket Pool versus Lido. Lido is great. The platform's brilliant, but they already have a huge lead. So you're kind of investing in the market leader that already has a huge lead, and the lead's priced into the token. And although I do like the token, and I bought the token during FTX for less than $1, around 90 cents, and I still hold those buys that I made back in the FTX saga, and I tweeted about this and shown this at the time as well. I think now, if I'm looking at buying pullbacks, only pullbacks, of course, Rocket Pool as a longer term hold is the one I'd be buying versus Lido. So I do expect staking to increase. How much of that's priced into the Rocket Pool price, I don't know. I'm not trying to guess. I've got a few buy levels that I like. This is my Rocket Pool TA. We are headed into resistance at $50. You may want to wait for two things, either a break and a retest of the $50 level, or you might want to wait for a retest of this lower range at 40 to 42. I would only buy pullbacks though. So I mean, if you don't have an initial position, and this isn't financial advice, of course, if you do like it, do your own research, and you want a position, you could probably open up with a position at market. That's what I actually do with a lot of alts. Let's say like I want to buy, Joe, and I don't have any Joe, and I'm FOMOing every day because I don't have Joe. What I often do is I just buy 20% or 30% of my intended position. So let's say I want to buy $10,000 worth of Joe. What I'll do is I'll buy 2,000 or 3,000 up front, and then I'll DCA the rest on dips, on big red candles. That's typically how I'll DCA into a token. Because the problem is, sometimes if you really like a token and you don't have an initial entry, it's just FOMO city. And for me, I need an initial position to get rid of my FOMO. Maybe you're better emotionally, and you have to know how you trade. If you're better emotionally than me, you can probably just hold off and wait for like 40 to 42, or just buy like confirmation. But I kind of know how I trade now. If I spot an altcoin I like and I'm bullish on an alt, sometimes I just like to get that 20, 30% in, which is relatively small in the scheme of things, get up to my max position size over a defined period on dips. And then, after that period, then I can reassess, how's my weighting? Is 10K enough? Do I want to go to 20K? Do I want to go to 30K? Do I want to, reallocate some? Do I want to take profits if it's performed well back into ETH? You make those decisions later, typically when buying an altcoin. So it gives you a little bit of an insight as to how I do things. I'm not a huge fan of buying every alt under the sun right now, long term. I think you guys know this. I've been saying that at some point, I think we do get better buys on a lot of alts. There are select alts that I'll DCA into though. I've kind of explained some of these on the show. One of them is Beefy. Another one of them is Rocket Pool. A lot of DeFi plays. For me, because I'm a DeFi guy, I understand that. I base my fundamental thesis based on exactly that. Fundamentals. Technicals for me are just areas that I can, take profits, get entries, more of a risk reward tool. So my long-term bags are relatively thin now. Obviously Bitcoin, ETH, heavy long-term, stack them. Altcoin bags, much thinner, holding a lot of cash. DCAing into some select alts, Rocket Pool being one of them on pullbacks. And then I will make bigger decisions over, whether I want to buy a bunch of L1s or a bunch of L2s, or what the narrative is closer to, when I think we're approaching like a general bottom per narrative. I think we see sector outperformance next cycle. Whether that's gaming, whether that's L2s, like we kind of have an idea as to what the strong narratives are, but obviously, we're going to get a better idea at that time. And that's why I want to make sure I have capital for that time so I can buy the strong coins. But there are a few coins I DCA into. So in the meantime, if obviously Bitcoin ETH, but in terms of like making serious cash, alts are going to do that for you. But you also, if you're DCAing into an alt, you need to not puke if the token significantly drops. So the thing with altcoin DCAing is, if you make a concerted effort to DCA into Rocket Pool, you need to just accept the fact that if Rocket Pool hits $30 or breaks below at $24, you're going to keep buying. If nothing's changed fundamentally, you have to not puke at this level. A lot of traders, they'll buy and then they'll just panic sell. If you make a decision to DCA into an altcoin long term, you have to stick to that decision. Now, if you don't have conviction in a coin, you won't be able to stick to that thesis. That's the major mistake most investors make. They buy stuff that they convince themselves they have conviction in, and then they realize they don't have conviction in because they don't actually understand the tech or the fundamentals, and then they end up just selling because they don't actually have conviction. And when times get tough, they don't have the conviction to buy more, they sell. And that's happened to me before, by the way. I'm not perfect. Definitely happened to me before in the past where I bought a token, it's dropped, and I've realized, shit, I don't actually know really why I'm still holding this. I kind of just bought it because it was hot at the time. And I'm sure you've been in that position as well. So one of the reasons I was able to make my Ethereum and Lido buys during, that huge FTX collapse was because I had a lot of conviction in both those assets, and I have conviction in Ethereum to the point where, I'm happy to just buy after huge dips. Like during this FTX collapse, we'll see back in, and we're on the weekly, but we'll go into the 4-hourly, back in November, like that was a really scary time to buy. I think ETH hit like $750, $800 at the time. Let's actually go back and check. Yeah, look at this. Oh no, this is actually 1,000. I don't think we actually got that low, 750. I swear we got lower than this. This must be, no, maybe we only did go to 1,000. I swear I got sub 1,000 at some point. I definitely got sub 1,000 at some point. But anyway, irrespective of whether I got 1,000 or sub 1,000, this was scary. Like a lot of people losing conviction in ETH at this level. But for me, I knew that fundamentally, I believed in it. So I was happy to buy at these levels, extreme fear. And obviously that panned out well. Now, sometimes you're going to buy extreme fear and it's going to keep dropping. That's why I said before, like if you have conviction in an alt and you want to accumulate it, don't puke if the price drops. That's kind of just, you got to don't flinch, buy and don't flinch if you believe in an asset. You need to build conviction though. That's why education is so key. So before making a plan to DCA into an asset, if you go, okay, I want to buy Rocket Pool and I want to DCA into it for the next 6 months, you need to like really do your research first. Okay, you need to understand the value prop, you need to understand the risks, you need to understand the competition, their moat, what other competitors are eating market share. You need to understand the team, understand the price on all of these things. So then, by the end of your DD, due diligence process, you're like, okay, I know this coin's good. I'm going to buy if this drops below $10, because I have conviction. And that is exactly why, people, that my altcoin positions are relatively small. That is exactly why I don't hold 30 altcoins right now. I might hold dust of 30 altcoins amongst, 20 wallets, but I don't hold a significant position in more than probably 10 to 15 alts right now. I probably hold less, in terms of like proper positions, I probably hold less than 10 because, that they're the only tokens I have conviction in right now. Now, there are tokens that are going to emerge for me as I research more, because every day I'm learning in the space. I keep learning that I develop new conviction in. But the only reason I'm not holding is because, I can't promise myself if I buy 𝗏𝗏 today that I'm not going to spit that position out if the market dumps. That's not because I'm saying 𝗏𝗏 is a bad project. I'm using it as an example, but I just don't have that conviction. Like, I don't really understand. There's question marks around the tokenomics. Are they going to be the gaming leader? Do individual games perform better? It's probably a great proxy bet if gaming in general is in an uptrend and you want to capture exposure to gaming, but like, is 𝗏𝗏 the way to go? I don't know. You might think it is and you might want to buy it. That just gives, I don't want to ramble too long on about this, but that just gives you a mindset, a bit of like a peek into my mind and, why I wouldn't DCA into select altcoins, even if I like them as projects. Doge is actually one that I kind of do want to DCA into, because I think, if whenever next cycle is, and we can't exactly predict it, I expect, at some point, memes to really take off. And, I do want some meme exposure. I'm not going to be able to time the Doge bottom, so I'll just buy some. That's kind of how I view Doge. And look, to be honest, performing decently today. Did wick down into our blue box. If you actually caught this, you would have gotten a little entry and then back up. But we did have a breakdown. So for Doge, it's not really bullish until we reclaim this orange box. We could reject and come back down. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing on Doge. What other coins do I have conviction in? Well, there's a very interesting thing. I have a lot of Phantom, right? So out of all my alt bags, Phantom's something I hold in DCA into for a few reasons. One, nostalgia. I loved that January. Okay, I made a lot of money. I lost a lot of money, but it was like a really, I think, innovative DeFi experience during that Phantom January in 2022. Look, I know maybe some people feel bad about it because you may have bought the top and lost money, and like I certainly was probably too bullish on Phantom at the time. But I still actually have conviction. So it's something that, okay, yep, I bought higher, but I also got a chance to buy a lot lower. And it's something I'm just building a position in, not more than 5% of my portfolio, long-term portfolio, but enough of a position that if it succeeds, I'm going to capture quite a lot of upside. The reason really now that I feel a lot better about Phantom is because of Andre. Like, I know it's kind of a risk when you have like one man that's so, instrumental to a project's success, but, Andre keeps just building cool shit on Phantom, and he's kind of got this really loyal community behind him, and he's very smart, and he knows how to market, he knows how to generate hype, and they're now working on a crypto-friendly bank, like a payments infrastructure that was just announced, and whatever Andre builds, it's on Phantom. So any product he ships, it's good for Phantom because it's built on Phantom. 𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗓 even said, remind me of this in 5 months. So, basically what happened was Revolut said that, like, they said they weren't really crypto-friendly. They started basically like shutting accounts down. Andre said, need a card or just payments infrastructure? If the latter, I can add to your closed beta. I can add you to our closed beta. If card, that will be available by end of 2023. Crypto-friendly bank available to public within this year. So obviously they've seen like, okay, we've had issues with the crypto banking sector. We've seen, Silvergate go down. We've seen a lot of the other crypto banks have issues. We've seen a lot of regs. Andre clearly sees the need for good on-ramps in crypto in the face of a relatively tough regulatory environment. And he wants to provide that, and he's building that on Phantom. So that's, or using Phantom. I don't exactly know how it's built. He hasn't released all the details. It might be, built decentralized, it might not be, it might be centralized. They might use Phantom as like their primary chain. I don't exactly know, but all I know is that when he builds new apps, he builds them on Phantom. And that's kind of, one of the reasons why Phantom is a coin that, I do hold longer term, and I hope it succeeds. Look, it does have a lot of headwinds. L2s have gained steam. Proprietary L1s have struggled, but at some point we probably see the re-emergence of the L1 narrative. Although I'm not betting on the L1 rotation narrative being as strong as last cycle, it's a little bet that I'll make. So in terms of price action in the shorter term, we're seeing on the weekly, it actually holding above its key level at 40 cents. That's very important. Very, very, very important. It starts to look a little worse price action wise if you start looking at the daily. However, we still are holding. This would kind of be your place to actually catch a long on a bounce here. And then obviously, you need your stop below at 39 cents. So, because we do sometimes get some wicks. If you're doing this, you'd have to use low leverage, 42 to 39. You'd probably want to use 3 to 5x. This is something that I might look at for the trading comp, especially if we actually come down like real close to this line. This might be a long that I look at taking just for a bounce, targeting this mid-range, which will probably be, TP at 11%. With leverage, it could be 50 or 100%, and then 24% if we get real lucky on a bounce. Someone's actually calling me on the phone, but it's all right. I'll call them back later. So yeah, we're seeing like a decent level for Phantom. If I go into the 1 hourly chart, also had a nice bounce. We have deviated below, so if you're a huge leverage trader, just be wary of that. I also want to make the point that macro-wise, we have seen lower highs start to set in. The reason why Phantom was really running up and bullish is because FVM started to get announced, which has been something we've been waiting for quite some time, but that hasn't exactly happened yet. I think it's Q4 to Q3 we get testnet, Q4 we might see deployment. It's weird because we've actually seen on the Phantom chart, on the hourly and the 4 hourly, we've seen this kind of double bottom and actually a higher high being made. So although like if you zoom out and you look at the 4 hourly, we are making like lower highs, 1, 2, 3. If you kind of want to zoom in really, really, really close, we're back in a technical uptrend. It's not very convincing because this bottom was like a double bottom. But we're kind of back at an uptrend if you disregard these highs, this general uptrend here. But it's not super strong. So for me, I'm just trading on horizontals, the major one being the 40-cent level for now, in terms of like your last place to long. Of course, like you look, we probably get better entries at some point this year for long-term accumulation. For me, any phantom buy I make in the next month will probably be shorter term. But you know, I'm not against accumulating it ahead of FVM. Your real buy zone that you'd really want to accumulate is 20 to 23 cents. That's like, you know, that's your doomsday altcoin scenario. But you know, as long as we hold above, there's no reason to be bearish, right? Uptrend. And if we look at some of our key indicators like the 200 MA, I don't know why it's not showing up. Maybe it's in the wrong color. Yeah, if we look at our indicator here on the daily, I love using the 200 moving average on the daily to kind of get an idea of trend. You can see it usually quite effective for judging trends. We can see we actually broke above, retested, and then so there's a bit of a gap above, but as long as we hold above, price is generally bullish. What you'll probably see as well, if price, you know, moves like this and up a little bit, you'll probably see like this starting to come up and then, you know, to flatten out. And then we might come down and test at this level. That's kind of how I'm feeling. As long as we hold above the 200 MA. So, okay, this is the first level you need to hold. Break that, hold 200 MA, it's fine. Obviously, break that, we're targeting 25 cents again. But you kind of got two support levels to look at on the Phantom chart. So that's Rocket Pool, that's Phantom. Drop some of your alts in the description now. We'll go through some questions in the market in general. While you guys are asking your questions, and we'll get to some setups that you guys want me to look at, stuff like that. I want to remind you as well, in tandem with the ByBit Trading Comp, we also have the OKX trading giveaway. So this isn't a comp. This is something you can do alongside ByBit, especially if you're in a country that, you know, you can't trade on ByBit. You can choose OKX. This isn't a comp, but it's a giveaway. So it's basically you earn raffle tickets based on the more you trade. If you trade $1, literally $1 worth of volume, you get one ticket. If you trade another 10K, including deriv volume, you get, so including leverage, you get another 5 tickets, 5 tickets, 5 tickets, so on and so forth until level 7. The more you get, the more raffle tickets you build up, the higher chance you have of winning. Now, it's pretty crazy because we are giving away a Tesla between May 2nd and May 22nd. It's insane. And this isn't a trading comp. You don't need to win anything. You literally just need to deposit and trade to qualify and get raffle tickets, and your name goes in the draw. That's pretty insane. So basically, between May 2nd and the 22nd of May, so in a week, you can qualify for this. But for another 4 days, you can qualify for a holiday to the Maldives. So if you're really lucky, you'll actually win. You could, well, you'd have to be very lucky, but theoretically, you could win $7,500 or a holiday to the Maldives within the next 3 days. And then three weeks later, you could also win a Tesla. So you could drive your Tesla to the airport and then take your plane and go to the Maldives, come back, drive home in your Tesla. Might pay a little bit for parking, but it's fine. You've just made $57,500. And yeah, head home, new lifestyle, refreshed, ready to get back to work and grind with your new Tesla. So like that's best case scenario, but look, it's theoretically possible. Someone said INJ. Okay, we'll get into INJ and Joe and all those kind of stuff. But yeah, if you link in the description, if you do want to take part in this, you guys know how it works. Make sure you check the T's and C's. That is the first link in the description for you guys to, you just got to sign up using that link, deposit, open a trade. You can keep trading for more raffle tickets, or you can just open $1 and stay as it is and get a lower level entry. And of course, you know, we also have ByBit there as well for the trading comp. So giveaway, comp. Let's get into alts. Injective, INJ. And Ryan isn't, why isn't Ryan coming? I'm going to check my phone one more time. Sad, Ryan. We promised the audience, man. He said he's coming. He said he's coming. Okay, I was going to wrap up, but he says he's coming. So, he said coming. So, we'll just chat alts. We'll just chat shit. Waiting for him. And, yeah, he'll come and we can wrap it up. We also do have a big Miami announcement as well. Because we're going to Miami. And Rand's already in America, so he's at Texas right now. So for INJ, you know, it's a bit of a weird one because we've had this huge move to the upside, but we actually did break trend. If you look at this diagonal, we actually did break trend to the downside. We didn't quite get our target at less than $6. We have had a pump since. I think your next level would be back at the original trend that we made, which is kind of this level after we came down and made another bottom. So yeah, I mean, Ram would probably, I'll ask him on the show what he thinks of Injective, but he would probably say buy Injective. I don't really like buying pumps. You guys know my rule. It's to buy major pullbacks. Although long-term, I like this token, it probably falls into the category of a token I would stack and hold long-term because as a proxy bet to the Cosmos ecosystem, it's very difficult to get exposure to the Cosmos ecosystem. Cosmos token's not fantastic in terms of its value accrual, tokenomics, partly due to their governance structure being so preventative of change. But that's, the way that they've gone, and that's fine if they want to go that way. It's just, from an investor's perspective, something like an INJ or even an Osmosis as like kind of your DeFi hubs of the Cosmos ecosystem, they start to look attractive. The thing with Osmo is that it's seen like a huge pullback. Now, if we actually look at the total fully diluted valuation on Osmosis, let's actually start to have a bit of a look at the statistics here. We can see, okay, so it's mostly it's half diluted. The fully diluted is around 780. It has come down. Let's see what its all-time high market cap was. Wow, 3.3 bill. So it's actually held market cap decently, but that's probably because you've kind of seen it balance out with the dilution of the token. So FDV 780, market cap 440. We've seen it around 440 for a long time now. But yeah, that's like almost a 10x to its highs, market cap wise. But more tokens are now in circulation, probably why the token's going down. Someone said, I just sold Render. Thoughts, token going down. I really like Osmosis. Let's actually look at the DeFi ecosystem of Osmo. I hope Rand listened to this. He's missing the alpha. So Osmosis actually ranks 16. It's held over the last month. A lot of tokens, a lot of like ecosystems are down. It is significantly down from its highs, obviously. Okay, why is it down so much from its highs? Well, Luna. So it had a lot of UST pairs. And when the UST collapse happened, it basically ended up performing like a stable coin. But it is like a liquidity hub. It's the major AMM. Injective, more of a trading platform, but also like is like a liquidity hub, kind of competing with each other. But I like Osmosis as well as another bet, just if you wanted to make a second bet in the eco. So in terms of Osmo, I hate this token chart because it only got its listing like super late, like Jan 2023. And I hate trading based on short-term levels, but really the low was 60 cents. So if you did want to stack, that's your next level. Once we break below, like things can get freaking ugly. So what I would probably do, to be honest, is I would buy around this zone, maybe DCA in, and then I would set my stop below. So that's kind of what I would do with Osmosis. Someone asked about Osmo. Let's go through other stuff. Getting AO's thoughts. I don't know much about this token. Don't know much about it. Maybe Rand does. Pretty low market cap. Mostly fully diluted. Chart looks horrible. I mean, something like this, I would probably, since I don't understand it fundamentally and I can't give you a fundamental opinion on it, I would probably recommend waiting for more of an uptrend as a trade, because typically what you want to do in the market is buy strength. Obviously, there's no strength being exhibited here, right? So this might be something you just want to wait on. Thoughts on Radix? I know Rand likes Radix. Actually, let's go into our crypto bubbles. Let's see where Radix is. I know it's been a strong performer this month, but it also did come back down in price. You can see it here. Actually, one of the strongest performers for the month at 158%. It has come down though, so maybe you're getting another opportunity to get in. I don't know much about it on a fundamental basis. Rand probably does. Speaking of Rand, he's actually here right now. So it's good to have him. Well, I'm assuming he'll join in a second.
Miles.
Oh, you're on. You made it.
You started an hour early. You said we're supposed to meet now, man.
So what time is it in? Oh, because I said EST. You're an hour behind.
You're right. Oh, you're right. I'm wrong. Sorry, you're right.
I fucked it. I assumed you were in EST.
I messed it up. How's it going, man?
We've covered a lot. I don't know if you've seen, but we've it's talked for an hour now. We've gone over alts, gone over the GOX situation. I think maybe, like, I've already given my opinion on the show. So I said today was a false alarm. But, you know, at some point in the future, we probably will see some of these coins hitting the market. Do you want to share maybe your opinion on what happened?
I want to share one tweet with you. I just want to quickly find the tweet with you, because I think this is the most prolific tweet that I've read in a long time. But
your apartment looks crazy. Look at the background.
Okay, so here's the tweet. I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to share my screen with you. If you understand this tweet, you understand everything. If you don't, then you need to really try and understand this tweet. And it's a tweet by 𝗷𝗚𝗚𝗏, and he says, "Enjoy the highly inefficient market while you can. This is a once-in-a-lifetime market. Don't take it for granted." And I think that everything that we experience today and what we experience normally is all a function of this tweet, because very, very rarely do you get into a market that offers so much opportunity, is so illiquid. And what it is if you're close to the fire and you understand what's going on and you can verify things on chain and stuff like that, then you have alpha, you have an advantage over everybody else and what everybody else is doing. And I think today was a good example of exactly that. Let's recap what happened today. I'm sure you've spoken about this ad nauseum, but let's recap exactly what happened. There was a false alarm that Mt. Gox coins were being sold into the market, or that US government coins were being sold into the market. It was a false alarm, right? And as a result of that, people started selling. Now, the irony is that those coins were supposed to hit the market anyway. So what's the difference if they hit the market now, in a month, or in 2 months? The market should have priced the fact that those coins are going to hit the market anyway. The market overreacted in the situation. Okay, what do you do when the market overreacts in a situation? When you've got your ear close to the ground, you do what is right. And that's exactly what I did. I said on my profile, I said, I'm actually loading up on ETH. Yesterday, I loaded up on Bitcoin. As soon as I saw the price coming down, what I said was, hey, I'm loading up on ETH immediately. And that's exactly what I did. I took myself an ETH position at $1,850. I haven't seen ETH. I've just got back from the gym, so I haven't actually seen the ETH price. But I'm imagining that if Bitcoin is higher, ETH is back at 1925. So that's what people need to understand is we have a very unique opportunity here, because of information asymmetry and because of illiquid markets. And when you combine the two of those things, all you need to do is to know more than everybody else. All you need to do is to have your ear close to the ground, and it's much easier when you've got the resources that we have at our disposal. So today was an amazing opportunity. I have no doubt that Bitcoin is now going to go back to the $30,000 level where it was. I mean, when I left for German, it was $28,000. And this is like in some offices, you have a drill for what happens if there is a fire. You know, like if there's a fire, they do like the drill alarm, and they say, if there's a fire, everyone meets at a gate, at a certain door, whatever else. Today, this is exactly what today was. Today was a fire drill. It was like, hey guys, what happens when the Mt. Gox come onto the markets? What's going to happen is the market's going to overreact and go down. And then what are we going to do? We're going to start buying, because then the market's going to come back to rationality and realize, hold on a second, this is actually something that we've been anticipating for many weeks, months, even years. And that's what happened. So today was super exciting for me. I loaded up a bag of ETH like no other, because I just thought this is an opportunity of a lifetime. No, not a lifetime, but of a day. And then, bah! I went to.
Did you do it in the trading comp? Did you do it in the trading comp? That's the question.
I actually did do some in the trading comp, but I've got a very small account in the trading comp, unfortunately, because I wanted to make it fair. And so,
I was asleep.
You see here, I mean, yeah, for the trading comp, I actually did buy some. I bought 4 ETH just for fun in the trading comp. 5 ETH, sorry, I bought 5 ETH in the trading comp. So actually now I'm 18% up on that position. How am I doing in the trading comp, actually?
Honestly, someone's already up 200%. It's crazy. Like, there's actually people.
But remember, Miles, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Mm-hmm. You got to be careful that, these guys, what they do is they take 100x leverage and 50x leverage, and and they catch one swing. But let's see if they can keep the momentum actually for a full week. I mean, here's a great strategy. For those who are looking for a strategy in the trading competition, I probably shouldn't be saying this because it's a little bit of an unfair strategy, but take $100. Actually, take the minimum amount, which is $200. put on one trade. If you hit the trade, you go max trade, 100x, 10x, whatever it is. And then if you hit that, don't trade anymore. And just wait, because what happened last year was people went all the way up, and then as soon as they saw people catching them, they started trading again. But the best strategy is not to trade anymore, just stop. And that's, because you're talking about, you're putting in $250 to potentially win a Tesla. Okay, and hold on, just to be clear, you're only playing against another 1,000 people. Where else in the world do you have a raffle where you can put $250 and play against 1,000 people and win a Tesla or win a Rolex or whatever?
It's actually pretty crazy. It's
crazy.
like the best giveaway odds.
Exactly, but no one gets it. No one gets it. So for me, like, the idea is have as many accounts as you want, but have 2 or 3 accounts. Take crazy trades on the accounts. If you hit the trade on 100x leverage or 10x leverage, stop trading. Just stop trading and wait for it. I see Paula is now nodding her head because I can see that what she's going to do, she's going to take the same fucking odds. I can see. Paula, I know you too well. I can see what's going on there. Yeah. But anyway, going back to it, Miles, I think today was a great fire drill.
I found something interesting. I found something really interesting. So you mentioned, like, a bit of a supply overhang here with some of the Mt. Gox, and also the US government Silk Road Bitcoin. The US government actually revealed that they sold 10,000 Bitcoin on the 14th of March, according to a recent court filing. And over the rest of the year, they're selling 41,000. So that over 4 installments. So that indicates we'll get similar 10,000 Bitcoin installments. I went back on the chart and looked exactly what happened on the day that they sold these 10,000 Bitcoin. And it's very interesting. We had a huge wick to the upside. You can see it's this wick here on the daily. And we don't know exactly what time they sold. We saw a wick to the downside, but then the market ate it straight up. Straight afterwards, we saw a bounce. And I think the reason for this is because if you're in an uptrend, 10,000 Bitcoin actually isn't that much. We know daily volume on Bitcoin, if we go to CoinGecko, is over $31 billion. So in the course of, obviously a lot of this is wash trading and some of it's manipulated, but by and large, it's a lot of volume. 10,000 Bitcoin, although it seems like a lot, in a bull trend gets eaten up. The only issue I would have is if we see a downtrend like we saw during FTX, because supply during a downtrend tends to hit the market a bit more severely. So we'll just need to keep our eye on what the general environment is. If Bitcoin's in an uptrend and we see the market correct, let's say 5-10% in a day, because of the US government or Mt. Gox selling, it's probably a really good buying opportunity. Whereas if the market's in a downtrend, we probably have to be a bit wary of trying to like catch the dip and maybe look for short setups. So that's kind of what I'm taking away. I don't know if you have a similar view on that.
Yeah, I think there's going to be very few opportunities where we know in advance that certain people are selling big coins. I mean, obviously the biggest opportunity of them all would be Satoshi came out and said, hey, I'm about to sell my coins, right? That would be like the biggest opportunity. But short of that, like the only sellers that kind of have to report that they're selling is liquidators and governments, because otherwise a fund doesn't report that they're selling. They would be stupid if they reported that they were selling, right? So there's going to be very few opportunities in our lifetimes where we know that people are forced sellers, and now we're having a situation where a lot of these people are forced sellers, right? So you basically got to make hay while the sun shines here and be buying. That's, when it felt very uncomfortable to buy earlier, but that's the time when people should have been buying. And I really try to drive that message very hard on Twitter. I said, like, guys, I'm buying now. Like, just this is the right time to be buying. Nothing's changed. The other thing is, I really need Bitcoin to break the 30,500. Just, you know why? Because that's the point where even the biggest bears have to turn into bulls. Like when you zoom out on the Bitcoin chart, I'll quickly share my screen if you don't mind. But when you zoom out on this Bitcoin chart and you say, okay, like there's a 200-week moving average, which was crossed and okay, no one, there were still people that were skeptical. But then you got one level, which is this level over here. Now, this is like a massive support resistance level over here. You see over there. So that support and now becomes resistance. That is the last level that needs to flip for everybody to turn bullish. Like if 𝗕𝗏 doesn't turn bullish after this point, we've got ourselves a much bigger problem. Like, this is a big level. So we need that 30,500 to be broken. What I'm seeing here gives me a lot of confidence that we might actually go there. Why? Because the dips are being bought up. So this dip got bought up like every other dip. You know what I mean?
I wonder if Gareth longed in the trading comp. The reason I say that is because this orange line here, we know we're doing the trading comp in partnership with Gareth. This orange line here was his trend line that he spoke about on your show a couple of days ago. And during your show, there was this wick happening below, and we're like, oh, could we be breaking down? But ended up just being a fake out, and we saw a nice bounce off his. It actually respected his level. So it's actually still in an uptrend. Like we've seen multiple rejections. We've seen obviously during the FTX saga, probably deviation below range lows. But once we broke through range high, we reclaimed the diagonal trend in confluence with the 200 MA on the weekly. And yeah, it looks like still in an uptrend. So I wonder if Gareth got involved.
Yeah. So I mean, remember Gareth is American, so he himself cannot trade. He's he's marketing the competition to his community that's not in the United States, but he's, as an American, I don't think he can actually.
We would have traded on somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, he trades on somewhere else. He's just not trading derivatives, and this competition is specifically on derivatives. But I mean, I think again, for us now, the 30,000, we've got to block out the noise and say, okay, we can see that every dip is being bought. You'll agree with me on that, right? Every dip is being bought. We had a shakeout of leverage. Now every single dip is being bought. We need to break the 30,500 level, and then it's free sailing up until about 45,000. Like that's then those 45,000. Those are the next levels. So, you know, my idea, my suggestion here is accumulate on as many dips as possible. That's kind of what I'd be doing. I'd be buying as many dips as possible.
And yeah, I mean, I would agree down to range highs, 20. I mean, obviously we all have different trading styles. And, you know, I'm not an expert trader. I'm more of a sentiment trader. I think you are as well. Like, you know, when there's extreme fear, that's probably the time to buy. I think range highs is kind of like your worst case. Like that's your biggest dip. Break below, and we're probably targeting like low 20s. But as long as we hold 24.3 to 25, I view that as like a pretty strong level. That would be probably like your last best level to buy alts and Bitcoin. But I don't know if we down that low.
One of the other things that you need to be looking at in these dips, if you believe what I believe, and I just want to quickly reiterate what I believe. I think, Miles, I think you and I kind of share the same view because we speak every morning. I speak to you more than I speak to my wife actually these days. But just give me a second. I actually want to pull up a chart, Jeff, on the weekend. Just a second. I've got to try to find it for you. Hold on a sec. So this is what I believe. I want to show it to you. Hold on a second. Sorry, actually, there's too much. There's so much. You know, if you think, I mean, I think I feel too much. You should look at your time. And this is what I believe. I believe that we're in a firm uptrend. We're mimicking every other uptrend that we've ever had, and we're going to have 10 to 15 and maybe even 25 and 30% corrections. And usually these corrections are just healthy corrections that shake out leverage. Now, if you believe that, you need to watch for the tokens that are going up the most and down the most in this dip. So which are the tokens that have been performing the best in the ups and been performing the worst in the downs? So I've been keeping an eye on the bubbles because the bubbles give you a great representation of that. But the ones that are exactly, I mean, you can actually see them right here. So Render, and I'm going to tell you why Render is doing so well. Injective, Casper, Radix. Those are the four that are strung. They go up the most and they go down the most. So let's quickly look at what the narratives here are. One is Render. Render is the only reason why Render keeps going up is because the funds are seeing this as one of the only legitimate AI plays in crypto. So every fund is skeptical around AI. And when they look at Render, they say, hold on, Render is actually legitimate. This is actually something that can be AI. So that's that one. Then the injective is the play into Cosmos. So if you kind of say, look, I want an entry into the Cosmos ecosystem, what's the best play in the Cosmos ecosystem today? Which is the token that is the most fairly valued and can go up the most? You know, the answer is without doubt injective until DYDX comes onto the scene. So DYDX eventually will come on, and I think it will eventually replace injective. But for now, if you want an entry into Cosmos, you're not going to buy the Atom token because no one's using the Cosmos chain. People are using the Cosmos, the SDK. So that's the next narrative. Radix has got a massive update in July, 31st of July. I interviewed the founder, one of the founders today here at Consensus. They got a massive upgrade in July. And when that upgrade happens, they're going to have smart contracts. And they've got a very, very strong, thriving community. So that's another one that keeps going up and keeps going down. So those are the tokens that I'm seeing that are going up the most and down the most. And when you see those tokens, every time you get a dip, if you believe that we're in this uptrend that I showed you guys a few seconds ago, I can't even remember which window it was because there's so many windows open on my thing here. But if you believe what I believe, then those are the tokens that I think that you should be looking at.
It's all about finding relative strength, like especially like you're trying to catch sector outperformance. I'll add, I agree with your list. I'll add a couple more. I think Trader Joe, we've seen pretty good developments there.
Yes,
I've talked a lot about that today. I talked a lot about 𝗏𝗏𝗆 today, as probably we can already see a lot of the ETH Shanghai like staking inflows have gone to 𝗏𝗏𝗆 and Frax versus Lido due to the composability and flexibility that 𝗏𝗏𝗆 offers you, because you can direct staking rewards to various like counterparties. So you can actually, like, let's say, set up a validator with friends, or if you're a fund, it's easy to set up a validator. So like there's a few reasons why 𝗏𝗏𝗆's outperforming. Yeah, I already talked about Injective earlier today. I think, what do you think of Osmosis? That's another one I'm kind of looking at.
Osmosis is the problem. The problem is if you look at the just go look at the FDV of Osmosis. Just quickly look at
700, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Osmosis versus Injective, and Osmosis got an FDV of 700. I think is the FDV 700? Let's quickly just have a look there.
780.
And I think Injective is about the same. Now, which one would you rather be holding, given the fact that Injective has got a $150 million fund behind it now?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. On a relative basis, that kind of makes sense. I view Osmosis as being like your AMM, like probably still the. I mean, they're kind of like the liquidity hub of Cosmos. A bit more dilutive though.
Not really. Injective.
But I guess they have different objectives.
Yeah.
Injective's like more of your trading base. Osmosis is more like trying to like power DeFi. They have a lot of DeFi apps like they plug into. They eventually just want to be like your kind of all-encompassing like AMM. Yeah, I think, but I don't know. I guess the thing is, if you want exposure to Cosmos, right, you probably just want to like diversify, like pick like 3 or 4 and then diversify across them. If Objective fucks up, at least you own 𝗬𝗐𝗐. If 𝗬𝗐𝗐𝗐 stuffs up, at least you own some Osmo and kind of play it that way. I don't know.
Remember, 𝗬𝗐𝗐𝗐 is still not on Cosmos, right? It's in a test net. The main net will go live, I think they said end of Q3 this year. So
unlock's crazy though. They actually delayed their unlock. I don't know if I can get it up right now, but they delayed their unlock.
They delayed the unlock until they go live on the Cosmos mainnet, which I actually think, I don't like token delays.
Look at this. Oof.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Look, I don't like token delays. I think companies that delay their token delays are what I call chicken shit. Face the music. But I think in this case, because of it's such a big moving to Cosmos. And actually, I interviewed one of the developers from 𝗬𝗐𝗐𝗏, and he was explaining to me why they moved from Ethereum to Cosmos. And remember, they're actually on Ethereum layer 2, and they moved from Ethereum layer 2 to Cosmos. And the reason why they did that is because there's just no way that you can do this on Ethereum. So when you actually listen to a dev talking, he says, look, we couldn't do this on Ethereum. We tried. We even went to ETH layer 2. Then you realize the true power of Cosmos. Because you're going, look, if the guys can't do something on ETH and they can't do it on ETH layer 2, and there's such a big cost to moving, but they still decide that they want to move, right? Then what do you do? You know what I'm saying? What do you do? And so that's exactly what he said, and that to me was like, listen, you got to put money in the Cosmos ecosystem. Then the question is, what do you put on the Cosmos ecosystem? So that's the problem. The other one that I want to talk about, Miles, is Stargate. Holy shit! I interviewed the people today from Layer Zero, and wow, I've been holding a lot of Stargate. I think this is a sitting duck. This is one of these tokens that, when the market actually clicks what this thing does, it is beyond impressive. And I just don't think that this token has as much hype as this thing should be as valuable as Uniswap, because what it is it is a DEX. So what is layer 0? Layer 0 is a messaging layer across protocols. So what it allows users to do is to be using blockchain devoid of which chain they want to be using. So like devoid of, I don't care if it's chain A or chain B, I don't care. You can use the blockchain. Now, what Stargate is the first and the native DEX on this thing. So this is like the protocol that uses it. Now, to me, this is one of the biggest sitting ducks in the industry, because it doesn't have as much hype as the rest of the tokens. So I think that's like today, like it's so good to be at Consensus and meet founders and talk to people and actually see people face to face. And I think one of the things that I decided in my portfolio today was increase injective, increase render, start buying Radix on the dips. Those are the ones that I think are really going to do well. And Stargate, those are the ones that I'm walking away with.
You worry about Stargate dilution? Like, this is my own, because I love Stargate. I love layer 0. I'm actually doing a lot of stuff on the eco now for like airdrop purposes. I'm just a bit worried about the 7x discrepancy between circulating and total supply. I've looked through the token.
I only look at fully diluted. I only look at fully diluted. I'm only looking at fully diluted. Every time when I look at a token, I look at fully diluted only.
Yep.
Yeah. Why? Because everything else is a game. And the game is how easy can you release, how can you game your token release? And I don't want to play that game. So for me, when I look at a market cap, I'm always saying, what's the fully diluted valuation? Everything else is for fools, if you ask me, because it's like, how can the protocol con you into believing that that you're going to be okay, while in the meantime they're going to flood the market with tokens. So for me, it's always fully diluted or nothing.
Yeah, and it's sitting around 780. I don't think it's unreasonable. Where do you think layer 0 lands? Clearly, they've got multi-billion dollars. Raised at a multi-billion-dollar valuation. I think 250 mil.
No, so first raise was at about 30 or 40 million. We wanted to get into that. We didn't get into it. Next raise was a Series B. The Series B was $1 billion, and it was led by Andreessen. And then the most recent raise was actually a $3 billion raise.
Yeah, fuck. Huge.
They raised at about 200. I think they said 220. I don't remember the exact number.
120. Yeah. Yeah. And then 135 the 2 months before.
So it was 120. They raised 120. Yep. It was again led by Andreessen, which is, you think to yourself, imagine you're Andreessen and you lead the Series A at $1 billion, and then like less than a year later, you're leading the Series B at $3 billion at 3x. It's almost like, imagine like you bought at 1 billion and then at 3 billion, and you're Andreessen. Imagine that the confidence that they must have in the need for this technology.
Samsung.
I think that layer 0 is one of the most exciting, in fact, the most exciting project out there today, because it actually does do all the cross-chain without being a bridge. So you don't have, you can't get hacked, all these bridges with their bullshit, their bullshit systems. But that said, I think, you can't get layer 0. So what else do you get? Well, then you buy, Stargate is your best option. So for me, Stargate, 60 cents, and it does get there in the dips. You just keep selling things, like sell your watch, sell your car. So you can sell. I tried to sell my AirPods earlier, no one would buy them. I had one. So the thing is, with my AirPods, I've got like a case, and inside the case, I've only got one, so no one would buy it. But I'm sure if I find the other one, people will buy it.
You should. I've got this dilemma as well when I fly, right? So I'm going to Europe mid-year, and I'm like, do I go like business? Like, do I like suck it up for a few hours and save the money? Like, because I'm thinking like it's $10,000 a ticket, so I could spend $10,000 on a flight.
That's a lot of
or I can buy 6 Ethereum, and next cycle I'll have 100,000, and then I can get 10 business class flights. So it's like I don't know. It's hard. Like the biggest change in lifestyle for me when I started making money, the biggest change in lifestyle was actually flying first class and business class. And the reason is
because the difference between first class and business class in price is just, it's not logical. It's not logical that for a 10-hour flight, for 10 hours of your life, you would pay 4 times the price. It's like, how crazy are you that for a 10-hour flight? But there comes a point that once you do it, you're not going to do it again. You know, like you're not going to go back to economy class again. Once you, yeah, it's like once you, you know, it's like you can't go back. Once you turn left, you can never turn right again. That's the problem. Yeah. I'm actually just looking. I just want to see if there's anything else happening on the bubbles, because I think there's a lot of cool tokens to actually talk about. Yeah, Trader Joe, good one to be looking at. You know what I like about Trader Joe? I know you mentioned it as well, but it's what you want to look for in a team is you want to look for a team that's been through a tough time and then recovered from it. That's the ultimate test. And Trader Joe launched initially on Avalanche, and you know, they were the biggest decks on Avalanche and stuff like that. And then the whole Avalanche ecosystem collapsed. Not collapsed, but just became smaller, or I don't know, the bees left, or whatever you want to call it. So, and then Trader Joe just keeps innovating and recovering and stuff like that. And so for me, that's one, you want to be backing a team like that, right?
I actually spoke to the team a few months ago, and I was very impressed by their product even before it launched. And then obviously it ended up launching, and I think it really like almost revolutionized how you can build a trading platform in 2023. Of course, there's like many great trading products, but what they've been able to do with their like pooled liquidity is very impressive. I think it's roughly a 3x improvement on efficiency between like existing AMMs like Uniswap. So they've like 3x the efficiency of Uniswap, and they've been able to just do it through, as you said, hard work during the bear market, by just building while everyone else was cutting budgets. They cut things like marketing and extra expenses and just focused on hiring more devs. So it's been yeah, it's been really impressive, and I recommend using the platform if you're like a DeFi head. And as you mentioned, they're already on they're now on Avalanche. Arbitrum, that was a catalyst behind their major fee increase. I know fees are super high here, but you've got to keep in mind that's AVAX rush. That's like peak incentives, peak emissions. If you actually zoom in a little bit, you'll see the fees actually
sorry.
That's right. The fees actually increased like a lot since, like, look, they were dead in terms of volume in November, December. They launched this new product. It's a good product, and good products mean more users, and now they're doing 440K a day. So, you know, obviously not as much as the AVAX rush period, but still very impressive that they're able to get themselves out of, I guess, that hole, that market perception that they were just like this AVAX DEX and build like a good product. So yeah, it's impressive. And I think we've seen like the same kind of methodology from like Kujira, other projects like this that have just put their head down and decided to build in the face of adversity.
Yeah, I think to summarize, I think what we're both saying here is, what you got to do is you got to make a decision. Say, do I believe that we are in this uptrend? Because I think the problem is a lot of people are still in denial, and it's okay to be in denial because maybe we're wrong and maybe everyone else is right. Who knows? But once you believe, then what you want to do is you want to set yourself criteria for projects, and then you want to just start buying and forgetting. And that's pretty much what I think what we're saying. There's a whole lot of good projects. You've got ways of evaluating. I've got ways of evaluating. I think the idea is you just got to jump in the water now. Be careful.
I made a point before you joined the show. I was speaking about this for a few minutes. It's like, if you are going to DCA into a project, you have to be 100% sure that you are very comfortable with the fundamentals of that project and you really understand it. Because if you don't understand a project, you won't actually have the conviction to hold it long term. And what I see happening a lot of the times is like, you'll identify a project like Joe, you'll decide that you like it when the price is up, the price drops, and then you don't have that conviction to buy lower. In fact, most investors end up puking and giving up their position back to the market because they never developed that conviction. So I'm very selective in what I buy now long term, because when I do buy something, I need to be almost 100% sure, unless something fundamentally changes, that I really believe in the fundamentals of that project. And then I'm happy to DCA over longer time frames, because then I don't care. Like if I want to buy Joe at 60 cents, 10 cents, 5 cents, it doesn't matter. As long as something didn't happen disastrously inside the project, or as long as fundamentals didn't change, I'm happy to buy. So you need to work out before you commit to DCAing longer term, medium to long term, that you really believe in that project. Otherwise, you will not have the conviction to hold. And I've done this in the past. I've made investments. I know you have probably as well. Like you've bought things when it was going up and a friend told you it was so cool because it was the rage. And then you realized a month later when it halved, well, I don't actually understand why I'm holding this anymore because I don't even know why I bought in the first place. So
got to have conviction. You got to have a clear thesis. And I think that's what we're developing now. And you know what? I'm so excited about how we're working now because it seems like we keep coming back to the same tokens. Every dip, we keep coming back to the same tokens. Every dip, we keep coming back to the same. You know, my portfolio today looks like my buy list today. Now, you know, if you can say that your portfolio today looks like your buy list, you're holding a great portfolio, right? Because what people end up doing is they'll end up buying a whole lot of shit. You know that. And then the problem is you look at it again, and you go, why did I buy that? Why am I holding it? And then you say, okay, well, hold on, I'm going to keep holding it for a while until it recovers. And that's the wrong attitude, because then what happens is you land up with a portfolio that's full of like things that you're waiting for a recovery, whereas you should be betting on the new thing. And you know, like I think there's one token in my entire portfolio that I actually want to sell, and the only reason I'm not selling it is because I want to be in the market, but I don't know what I want to swap that token into. That's the problem.
What's the token?
I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to fud them yet.
Okay.
I'm doing a little bit. I'm doing a
not
little bit
XRP
more.
though.
I'm doing a little bit more research before. When I do sell, I'll obviously be very, very transparent with the community. But I'm not ready to sell yet. But when I am going to sell, I'm going to really tell people.
Everyone's saying it's Cardano, Rand. You've dumped your ADA bag.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm really not going to say anything.
No, don't. It's fine.
I'm just looking to see if there's anything else that really looks interesting. It's not BNB either. People are saying BNB. It's not BNB.
The launch pads are crazy on BNB at the moment. Are you bullish on the launch pad thesis?
I'd like to say I'm not, but you know, actions speak louder than words. And the other day, what I did was I swapped a whole lot of my dollars into BNB and I staked my BNB. So I try to get some of this, what's it called, education campus, or what did you call it?
I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
Some weird thing.
So yeah, we are actually, we landed up now being quite big holders of BNB. Here's the way I see BNB, and I've got to be honest. I'm going to be brutally honest with the community. Even though CZ is a very good friend, and I love BNB, and it's a great exchange, and they have been one of our partners. The thing with BNB is that there's so much downside risk if one of these Binance court cases actually catches. So, you know, like the reason why Binance, the BNB token is so strong is because it is mainly the exchange and then it's secondly the chain, right? So you kind of have this, like you're buying a chain and you're buying an exchange, which is quite a unique situation to be in. And I'm just scared that one of these tokens, one of these court cases will actually catch some traction. And if it does, then the problem is that Binance have to keep defending it, and it could be quite expensive and take the eye off the ball and stuff like that. So for me, it's like, look, I rode BNB all the way up. I took a lot of profits. I'm still holding some BNB, but
it was your best position. I remember back to that show you did. I think it's your best performer ever, BNB dollar-wise.
I just want to show you something as to, like, you got to take your hat off to CZ, but there's very, very, very few companies in the world that can continue to do this. So this is, if you look at BNB against BTC, not BNB against dollars, but you actually look at it relative to BTC. Now, how many tokens can say that relative to BTC, they've outperformed? Let's just pick a random date. So let's take that date over here. Relative to, how many tokens can say that they've performed 1,000x better than Bitcoin in the last 2 years? I mean, 1,000 times, 1,000x better than Bitcoin in the last 2 years. 1,000x.
100x.
100x. Sorry, 100x. 1,000%.
Oh, 10x.
10x. Sorry, 10x.
Sorry, we're getting our numbers wrong.
But I'm saying that's relative to Bitcoin. And if you look at it, like, I don't like looking at it since inception because it's not really fair to look at something since.
Well, then it's 1,000x. Then it's 10,000x.
Correct. So this is, I mean, actually, let's just for shits and giggles, let's just mark that chart. That's where it would.
It won't even do a percentage. It'll be so much.
No, it's actually, there we go. Wow. It's 14,000%. Outperformed Bitcoin by 14,000%. So for me, I'm kind of going, look, it was a great ride. We made a lot of money on the way up. But how much more juice is left in this lemon? No, like the lemon's dry. Like there's not much juice in the lemon. You know what I mean? Like the juice is run out of the lemon. So
what you said about FTX when it was approaching highs, like everyone was like, "Let's buy FTX." You're like, "Well, there's not much juice left in the lemon."
No, I said to you guys, look, how much more upside is it? There's a lot of, the downside is huge, but the upside is, what's the upside? What else could Sam Bankman-Fried have done? Like he was the blue-eyed boy. Everybody was investing in him. Everybody was putting money behind him. What's the rest of the upside? And that's why I said, I told you guys, I want to send, I exited all my FTX positions way before all the FUD. See the market's slipping a little bit. There might be some buying opportunities. 28,674. If I'm
looking at this blue box. I'd love to take a long there. Just before we head off, because we've been going for almost an hour and a half. I want to talk about something that's fitting since you're in America. It's the Bitcoin Miami conference. So do you want to tell the audience what they can look forward to if they do choose to come to Bitcoin
All right,
Miami?
legends, listen up. So, unfortunately, we couldn't get you guys free tickets to Bitcoin Miami. We tried our hardest, but we couldn't get you guys free tickets. We wanted to give away like 100 free tickets to our community, and the organizers said, look, it's not fair if we give to one community and not another community. So if you use the link below, there's a link below, and you got to use that, and you got to, when it asks you for coupon code, you got to use the Crypto Banter coupon code, which is below. The first 20 people that buy tickets will get to join an exclusive dinner with myself, Sheldon, Miles, Hustle, Fred, and Kyle. We're all going to be in Miami, and we're going to organize a dinner for 25 or 26 people. And the first 20 people, because we can't get a table bigger than 20. We can't get a table bigger than 30 of us, because I think Fred's going to join, Paolo's going to join. I mean, so if you want to join that dinner, buy the tickets. Not only will you get the cheapest tickets available, so to speak, but you'll also get tickets to the free dinner that we'll be funding, because we kind of want to give back to our community. So yeah, buy the tickets. Unfortunately, we did try and get you guys freebies. Didn't work, but to spoil you guys, we're going to go and buy you guys. We're going to go out for dinner. I mean, we'll try to find a cool restaurant. Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be, but we're going to have a great time. We're going to have a great time. So come and join us.
20% discount on the ticket? 20%
discount on the tickets, but you got to buy them sooner, because as you get closer, the tickets get more and more expensive. So you got to like kind of buy them. Now, remember, only the first 20 people that buy, if they're not already bought, I haven't actually checked.
I think they might. I don't think so, but like I think we're getting close. So
yeah.
There's a link in the description if you want. You've got to make sure you enter Crypto Banter though, and then if you enter the code when you're buying a ticket, and if you're in America, if you're especially on the East Coast, then might be easy for you to come. Then yeah, use that code, get a 20% discount, and you'll get to have dinner with us. It should be a lot of fun. We'll book the biggest table we can to fit everyone. And
yeah, 100%.
I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be
a lot of fun. Although I must say here, I'm sitting at Consensus, and very weird what's going on here. And this is a strange phenomenon of what's happening is a lot of people aren't coming to the conference because it's in America. So let me tell you something that I picked up today, which was absolutely frightening. We're at Consensus, and it's not as busy as last year, not even close. And it's actually not as many exhibitors as last year. And speaking to people here, they said, I spoke to people that were supposed to be here, and they said, look, at the last minute, we actually pulled out. And the reason why we pulled out is we don't want to be seen to be promoting a service to Americans, because the SEC will come after us.
Wow.
So for example, exchanges which don't even allow US people to participate, I'm not going to mention names, but we saw them walking around, and I said to them, guys, where's your stand? You said you're going to have a stand. They said, no, we don't want to be promoting to Americans, because then the SEC will say, hey, you even came to the US and you came to a US conference and you promoted. And the same thing with a lot of projects. A lot of projects actually pulled out of Consensus and said, we're just too scared of the SEC now. In terms of the number of people here, there is probably 30% of the people that were here last year.
Wow,
so it's not the same conference. So you got to ask yourself a question. Is it a function of the bear market? Possibly. Is it a function of America actually, are we actually now really seeing the SEC bashing being, like actually we're seeing the results of it? That it's really scary. And like I was here at Consensus last year, it was the most incredible event. There were so many people. The vibe was festive. Granted, it was peak bull market. It was peak bull market. Yeah. And then someone here says, Steve says, he's right. No matter who you like and who you don't like in crypto, we all like Ripple now. Everybody is Ripple. Because whether you like Ripple or don't like Ripple, they're going to punch the SEC in the face. And whether you like Coinbase or don't like Coinbase because of their high fees and long waiting times to get back to you, we're all Coinbase. You know, we're all Coinbase now because we need people to beat the SEC. And it's become this, like, we're now all unified to try and save the industry. So whoever's left is unified yet to try and save the industry. But it's quite sad to, you know what it is? I'll give you, you've all seen the movie The Lion King. And you know, when the lion leaves the town because he thinks he's killed his dad or whatever, and then he comes back and he sees the famine in the land. And that's exactly what last year we came here and we saw it was amazing and everything was booming. We went away, we came back, and this year it's like, where is everyone? What have they done? What have they done to the land? And you can actually start seeing the thing. And that's the mood that I got you. I'll keep updating tomorrow because maybe it was just the first day. It was also the pro day today, but just I think that's
also a reverse impact. So the amount of people in crypto isn't going down as fast as the conference numbers may have been going down. So where are those people going? Well, maybe Token 2049 in Singapore is going to be massive. The Hong Kong conference the other week, massive. So we're seeing the reverse effect that, all right, sure, maybe if your theory is correct, and we'll confirm this over the next 2 days, maybe consensus and permissionless in these kind of conferences, numbers are dropping. Maybe we now see the birth of the bigger than ever conferences in Dubai, bigger than ever conferences in Singapore, Hong Kong. And that will really be a telltale sign that that is where the market's shifting. That's where the devs are shifting. And that's also where part of our investment thesis also needs to shift.
You know what? We actually spoke to the organizers today. Funny enough, we interviewed the organizers of the conference in Hong Kong a week ago, or 10 days ago, whatever the conference was. They sold 15,000 tickets to the conference, which is bigger than consensus, and over 50,000 people came to Hong Kong. So a lot of people, as you know, come to the conference but don't actually come to the conference. They just come because it's a great networking opportunity. Over 50,000 people went into Hong Kong for the conference. Now, just it just shows you that it's a tale of two sides. The first side is the US and what the US is doing, and the other side is the Asia, and Asia is, I mean, you can't believe it. I asked the guy, because the guy that arranged it actually also runs a $1 billion fund. And I said to him, how, tell me about your fund and how you've been investing. He says, 2 years ago, we were 2/3 in the US. This year, we're 1/3 in the US and 2/3 everywhere else. Wow. Sad, but that's what's happening. That is
even upward volume, like South Korean volume we've seen has significantly gained pace on Coinbase. So that's like another shift. We're not even just seeing like conferences. We're seeing like actual trading volume numbers start to shift to other countries.
I think that we're going to see a major shift to Asia, unless and until something happens, and that is Gary Gensler leaves. I think this is a Gary Gensler thing. This is the work of one man. It's unfortunate, but this is the work of one man. And I said something about Gary Gensler earlier today on my show. I said, look, if you were a lecturer at a university, would you lecture something that you weren't passionate about? Like, would you actually lecture? If I said to you, Miles, I want you to lecture about dishwashing liquids, would you lecture it? No. Because you can only really lecture about something that you're passionate about, right? And he created a blockchain course at MIT, which means that he was really passionate about blockchain. Now, if you're really passionate about blockchain, why are you trying to kill the industry? The only answer that you can come up with is you can say corruption, money. If someone was saying to you, here we go, this is it. Listen
to this. This is insane. I'll literally retweet it so you can go on my profile and see it. It's insane. Actually, I can't. My audio's not working.
Send me the clip. Send me the clip quickly. Send me the clip. I've got audio. So just drop it for me in the WhatsApp.
We need to play this. I put it on the private chat. It should work.
Okay, I've got it. Hold on. Let me open it for you guys.
Yeah, play this.
Hold on. I just need to get it off. I'm on 5 different browsers on 3 different screens. Just a second.
If it doesn't work, I can fix it. I just need to open a new tab.
Here we go.
Already know in the US and in many other jurisdictions that 3/4 of the market are not ICOs or not what would be called securities. Even in the US, Canada, and Taiwan, the 3 jurisdictions that follow something similar to the Howey test that we've talked about, 3/4 of the market is non-securities. It's just a commodity, a cash crypto. So you'll hear debate about initial coin offerings and what's a security and what's not a security. Relevant and important debate. But for 3/4 of the market, it's not particularly relevant as a legal matter, as a regulatory matter.
Okay, so there's two sides to this coin. There's 2 sides to this coin. And I hate to be the one to say it because I hate Gary. I think Gary is evil. But remember when he talked about this? This was years ago, and I think this was before all the derivatives of Ethereum. In other words, all these tokens that are launched on Ethereum, right? So when he did this course, I don't think that all these tokens on Ethereum actually existed. So I think it was more like Bitcoin, Litecoin, and all those kind of derivatives of Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and stuff like that. And those obviously weren't securities. I think that was when the clip was taken. So I think it's a little bit out of context, but I think, still, you love this industry. You got into this industry. You love this industry. You created a course. You taught a course on this industry. And I've actually watched his courses. You can get them on YouTube. I've actually watched it. It's hours and hours and hours. And he knows the subject matter really, really, really well. And then now he seems to be completely against the industry. So the only reason I can think of is corruption. I can think, look, he's being paid, not him directly, but the administration, and he's just the pawn, or maybe even he's being paid. And that's the reason why he's become so negative against the industry. Otherwise, there's no logical explanation that can explain how someone can be so much against an industry. It just doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't make sense. It killed me.
There has to be some, I don't know if foul play is the word, but obviously if he's aligned with the incentives and the direction of the administration, then I guess he needs to follow that. It's unfortunate. We don't know exactly why, of course, but whatever it is, it actually shocked me when I watched this, because this line, especially this 3/4 of the market is non-securities. It's just a commodity, cash crypto. And you're right. Probably we didn't have all these other tokens in the market at the time, but that line's crazy.
You know what would kill me? I said something on my show today, and it's just it's I don't script my shows. So it's just one of the things that came out. And I said, America, you actually deserve better. And like the whole thing was, I think it started off with me flying Emirates into the US, and then when I got to the US, flying American Airlines, and I said, look, America, you deserve better. But then I realized there are a lot of things that America should have, because they are one of the richest countries in the world, and they have the reserve currency. Like, as an American, you should live in the land of the free. As an American, you should live in a country where you can trade on any exchange that you want, and you can trade any instrument that you want, but you don't. If I was an American and I paid tax, and that tax was used to fund court cases to break an industry that could lead me to financial freedom, or possibly the only industry right now that could lead me to financial freedom, I would be super livid. Imagine that you're working hard like a dog, you're then paying your taxes, and those taxes are being used to kill the only industry that is legal in nature, actually, that is your ticket to financial freedom. Imagine the frustration of the American people. Imagine it, and it irked me so much. Just thinking, I don't pay tax in America, thank God, because I don't live here. But if I did, and you're using my tax dollars to destroy the industry that I think could set me and everybody around me into financial freedom, I would be fucking livid. And I mean, that's why I left America, Miles. I lived in America for a while, and I was looking to immigrate with my family. And having worked here, I worked in New York and I worked in Miami for a couple of years. And having worked here, I was like, honestly, what the hell is this place about? You're getting sued every second day. You need a license for everything. You're being watched for everything. I'm like, what the hell are you guys? I want to live in the land of the free, where I can do what the hell I want without getting a license. Land of the free is not where you have to get a license for everything. Land of the free is not when there's surveillance on everything that you do. Land of the free is where you can do what you want to do. Now, I'm not saying break the law. I'm saying within the confines of the law, you take the spirit of the law and you're free to operate like you want. And most Americans will never understand what that feels like. But, you know, like, and I think, Miles, you in Australia too, like, Australia's got a lot of rules, bro. That's not the land of the free. There's no freedom in America. I always say the following about America, and I'm sorry because this is not gonna, because I said this about America and Google's America.
I'm on the US time slot.
Your show's about to get shadow banned, but I always say the following about America.
Right.
America and China are exactly the same thing, except America has a better marketing department. They have this thing called Hollywood, and Hollywood creates this amazing impression of America. But America and China are exactly the same from a surveillance and a law point of view. I'd actually say that maybe America has got as many laws as China, or China's got as many laws in America. That's, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's the same.
They're just not as blatantly oppressive.
Yeah, they've got a marketing department. The marketing department's called Hollywood. And Hollywood does this amazing job of telling people how amazing America is. But when you actually come to America, you realize, most states, and I'm going to talk about Democrat states here, but lots of taxes, lots of surveillance, lots of enforcement of laws that, you know, possibly don't really need to be enforced. You know, like just weird. Anyway, I'm not going to rant because it's just going to.
You're going to annoy the American audience. I mean, actually, a lot of people
audience. I'm going to annoy the American audience, and your show is going to get shadow banned because Google is American.
We had 1,500 viewers for 2 hours, so it's probably already like a 30 plus K show, and you've just ruined it.
Sorry,
just ruined. You just chuck it out chuck it in the bin.
I completely got the time zones wrong because I thought I was an EST, but here I am.
That's all right. Well, I'll remind people before we go. You haven't really done a good sales pitch for them to come to Miami with us. I'm going to admit that no one's going to want to come. I guess it's mostly for people that are already there, right? If you're already in America, then come to the conference, have dinner with us. It'll be good. If you're already planning on coming, there's a link in the description if you want to. Maybe Ran hasn't sold you to fly over from Europe though. Maybe you just want to stay in your nice, like the confines of your own country. The other thing I want to remind you of is the fact that the trading competition is now officially live. So it's active. You can now participate. There's a link in the description. It's the second link here, which basically gives you an entry. You just got to click that link, click register now. As long as you have a Banter account, if you click register, it'll prompt you to make an account. Also have a $30,000 sign-up bonus, depending on how much you deposit. Going to be a very fun competition.
Miles, let's have some fun, bro. Let me do something here. Let's do something for your community because you got such a cool community. They're loyal to you like legends. And I think you deserve it because you work harder than anyone that I've ever met. You know, I want to just give you a compliment. So you're very young, but I think you're very smart beyond your years, which is why initially I was attracted to working with you. And I see the amount of hard work that you put into every show. Like people think that your show is just a show, but it's not. It's Miles researching every single day. Once he researches, he goes onto Twitter and he drops a lot of alpha on his Twitter account. And once he's really thought through it and actually written the thing, that's when you guys get to see it. And so you really work hard and you built yourself an amazing community. So I think just for fun, shits and giggles, this is the people. It's not the most updated list, unfortunately, because everyone's sleeping now at ByBit. But we have 900 out of the 1,081 people here. Let's fund 2 or 3 accounts to play the competition with us. So I'm just going to randomly go one. There's an account there. It's 576742236. We're putting $250 into your account so you can play the competition. And this account over here, 380666650, you're getting $250 into your account. Now, very important that people understand this. You see that we have an affiliate number, 16029. That's how we know that you've signed up with a Banter link. If you are on like a different affiliate number, or here, like a different affiliate number here, you're not eligible to win any of the prizes. So you can play as much as you want, but you can't win any of the prizes. If you want to win the prizes, you have to, someone says the coupon code is not working. That's not good. Hold on, let me take a screenshot of that.
Yeah. On the Bitcoin Miami site.
Yes, there we go. I've just taken a picture to send it to Bitcoin Miami so that we will get it working, guys. We will get it working. Yeah, so look, let's fund one more account just for fun, just to thank your community for being so good to you. And I think you're amazing to them. So here's another one, 275-70742. Tomorrow there will be $250 in your account. for you to be funded so you can play the competition. Remember, we are going to fund 100 accounts. I think we funded about 20. Also, if you do get into the competition now, you're getting in pretty early. Like it's early. Down to position 173. But it's early days, people. Early.
You're still up. At least I'm on 0, so at least you're
but
still up.
watch this guy, 𝗏𝗏𝗘𝗧, and watch this, I don't know who it is, and watch this guy, this Grant. Watch them in time, and you'll see that they got rich on one trade. And let's see how well they can hold on to their money. That's what I want to see.
That's the real question.
Listen, brother, it's been amazing hanging with you. I'm sorry I was late. I got my time zone up. You're a fucking legend. And yeah, let's meet again soon. I'm in your time. I'm in your show time zone now. So if you want some, if you want a partner to come and sit with you and hang out, here I am, buddy.
Yeah, it's good. It's much. How long are you there for? Like,
I leave on Saturday. Okay.
We might have one more show before then.
Cool.
Probably tomorrow or something. But I'll let you know. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining. It was great to have you on.
Much love, guys.
And really enjoyed it. I'll see you guys, I guess, tomorrow. And yeah, until the next one, peace out.